Hello and welcome to our video on building a project budget in Microsoft Excel. We're actually picking up where we left off in our Excel Basics video, which built a very simple overall total budget for a sample project. So we're going to extend that simple project and actually have the date ranges and assume that the project is going to be active over a series of months. So we'll look at how that can be done and how you might actually create a budget table based on days and be able to see a running budget by month for your project. So taking the detail we'd already had, let's stick in some months. So we're going to stick in Jan, Feb, March, April and May. And we actually typed in those dates, and we'll center those just to make it nice and neat. You notice that as I entered new cells and I put the data in new cells, it's actually adopted exactly the same formatting as we had in previous cells in that same row, and the same thing would happen in additional rows in the same column, depending on how you've got Excel set up. But in default mode it tends to adopt the formatting you've got and goes along with the formatting you got. So I want to make that days across there, and I want to highlight that so that it is days across the whole of the period, and that will broaden that so we can see very plainly it's days. So I'm going to enter the days now very quickly. So what we want to do once we've entered those is actually make sure that they add up to what we believe the total to be, or that we've got the total correct. So if you highlight a number of cells and then numerics, you will get a sum instantly shown and some other statistics instantly shown at the bottom of your Excel screen. So I can see that its sum is 55. It's counting 5 cells that I've selected, and the average of that is 11. So we've instantly got that. One of the other ways we could do it is put in a total for the number of days, and just to check. So if we equaled sum, and as we said earlier on, we want a range, so it would be, our range is E3 through to I3. And to highlight those and copy the same formula down, we just stick the mouse over the bottom right hand corner, it turns into a small X, and then we can drag down and duplicate the formula down, and we can see that the total days match the total days we'd expected. And indeed you don't need the column twice, so you could have perhaps even put the formula in there just to make sure that we're summing up to the same thing when I put the data in. So right, we've got a number of days, but that doesn't give us a cost per month. So how would we get a cost per month? So if I actually put in another section with costs, and I'm going to take those sums out for a minute, actually take May to June, I've got on the same thing. I'm then putting in cost here, and again I want to highlight that or bold that, and merge it and center it across all of my cost elements. So cost, as we've seen before, or we saw in the previous video, is simply the number of days times the rate. So we let's do that formula. So the cost for January would be the days in January times the rate. Now ideally what we'd want to be able to do is actually use the same shortcut and drag that across, but it's going to give some unexpected results, because we wouldn't have expected March to be quite so big, and the others don't look quite right either. So when you copy a formula, it will copy the formula and it will do it in what's called a relational manner, and because that was E times the rate, if I press F2 I can actually see the cells that it's affecting, so I can see that, yeah, that one's perfectly correct and we know we typed that in. If I go to the next one, I can see that it's actually moved what would be the rate one along each time. So to be able to fix it to a particular column, you can fix a particular column by putting a $, in front of the column. So the B column I want to fix in place, so I put a $, to say I'm going to fix that column, and I want it to always select the B column for that calculation. So now if I take that and I drag it across with the same method, and let's look at what it's done on the March figures, I can see that it's still pointing to that B column, and it's timesing it by March. If I was to do it for April, it's pointed to the B column and times it by the number of days in April. So all of the figures add up correctly. We can now extend that and copy all of those rows down because they're appropriate. And once you're building up confidence in how to do this, it's worthwhile checking some of your results. So let's check that one just to make sure we're getting the results we expect. The rate times the number of days in February gives us a February cost. That's correct. Right, so I want to get a cost per month, a total cost per month. So I've got a running cost per month per person. I want to get a total cost per month, and I can copy that, and rather than dragging it across, I can highlight all of the cells I would like to put that particular sum formula into, and then press Ctrl V to just paste, and then it's pasted it in to each of those columns. So I've got a running total per month. So now I've got a budget for my simple project across the whole period. Now let's say I just want to see costs. I don't want to see the number of days in there. I would need to have the number of days for the calculation, and if I amend anything I'd need to have the number of days. But I can highlight that section of days and then hide those columns, and now I've got my simple project budget. That really should be total cost. And we perhaps want to adjust the column to make it total cost. The total cost for our project is 36,150, and we've got a profile of how that spend will take place across the resource we've got. So that is a simple project budget built very quickly, introducing you to simple bits in Excel and some early formulas. So we've got other videos in Excel, in MS Project, in Word, and other project related tools and subjects why not take a look and see what you think of them. We've also got more advanced ones if you want to look at how to use these tools more effectively. Thank you.